Thank you, Adam. Welcome to ESPN College Football presented by Dave & Buster's. It's church and state. It's the Y and the U. Blue and red, the holy war. 14th ranked Utah meeting BYU. Week 1 season opener. College football's 150th season, and this rivalry has been one of the great ones. Of late, Utah has dominated. They've won 8 straight, although the last 6 and 18 of the last 21 have been decided by a touchdown or less. Utah won the toss. They defer, and BYU will receive the opening kickoff. Andrew Stroud, grad transfer from UCLA to kick it off for Utah. And BYU will begin at its own 25-yard line. Good evening from Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo and East Schroff, alongside the former Longhorn Ahmad Brooks. Chris Budden is down on the field. There is a lot at stake and a lot to like about Utah in 2019. Frankly, they can dream big in Salt Lake City.
You're absolutely right, and I think it starts with head coach Kyle Whittingham, who's established a culture that's built on toughness and talent. And boy, are they littered with NFL talent on the defensive side of the ball. The secondary is splendid. They've got guys that fly to the ball. And in addition to that, offensively, they've got some skilled players tonight that we'll see that are returning from injury. Could be the best collection of 3 skilled players in the Pac-12.
Zach Wilson will throw on first down, and it's incomplete. Looking for his favorite target, the tight end, Matt Bushman. This Utah defense, one of the best in the country a season ago, especially against the run. They return 3 all-conference players on a vaunted defensive line. And Zach Wilson, the quarterback for BYU, sophomore, took over as the starter midway through last year. He'll hand it off to the grad transfer from South Carolina, Tyson Williams, who picks up 3, and it sets up a 3rd down and 7. Wilson grew up a Utah fan. Just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah was his dream school. Originally committed to Boise State, and then BYU swooped in. Utah already had a quarterback committed in his class, and he finds himself a Cougar, and his family's had to adjust. Brought in by Bushman near midfield. BYU's leading receiver in each of the past 2 seasons.
Manish, we're looking at an elite tight end. Bushman a season ago in this matchup tore the Utah defense apart. The way he high points the football, excellent ball skills. And that's the matchup they want. Zach Wilson at any time can go to it. He feels very comfortable with Bushman.
Back to the air. Here comes the pressure. Wilson floats one toward the sideline and gets rid of it. Terrell Burgess on the safety blitz. And protecting Zach Wilson is a communal effort for BYU. He took 23 sacks in his 7 starts. And the coach just told us a lot of those were because he held on too long.
Yeah, it's a combination. Pass protection breaking down, wide receivers maybe shortening their routes or not getting into their route. There was a number of things. They're going to try to clean that up this season, and if they want to be an elite team, they have to.
Aleva Hifo on the fly sweep, and he is erased for a loss. It sets up 3rd and long. Francis Bernard, the BYU transfer, in the backfield.
He's a very sharp young man. He's got great football intelligence. That time they're dissecting the fly sweep, and that play is designed to make sure that you can hold these defensive ends that are extremely good, and I think that's a play that they want to sprinkle in and out. But this is a situation they don't want to be in, a 3rd and long situation where now you're relying on your outside perimeter players where that is not BYU's strength to convert.
Bushman, the tight end, lined up at the bottom of your screen. Over the middle. That is complete to Gunnar Romney, shy of the first down. So 4th down from about the 40-yard line, and the offense will stay on the field. Empty set, Wilson to throw. Down the sideline, incomplete. Shumway out of bounds. It'll be Utah ball. We had a feeling, talking to Kalani Sitake yesterday, they would be the aggressor and push the agenda early against Utah.
And I tell you what he also loved, he's liberated his quarterback, Zach Wilson, who's in his sophomore season. He said, listen, I don't want my guy to be scared. I want him to throw downfield. And the way that this Utah defense plays, because they crowd space, sometimes the only thing you can get is downfield. It was an early, gutsy call. Didn't work out in favor of the Cougars. But if you are on this BYU team, you're proud of your coach for taking a chance there.
On first down, the give to Zach Moss. And he bullies to the 45, a gain of 4. Let's check in with Chris Budden downstairs.
Well, this is a friendship between two head coaches. Kalani Sitake was an assistant under Whittingham at Utah for 10 years. And even though they're now at rival schools, the friendship has remained very close. They're golfing buddies. And on a normal week, they would talk once a week, but they haven't spoken since July. Sitake telling me he wanted to keep this rivalry intact. There was a lot of hugs before the game, but they're not on hold now.
They haven't been talking. People in this state have talked about this game since March. Here's Moss using a stiff arm and picking up a first down. The return of Zach Moss, so big for Utah. He missed the last 5 games of the season with a knee injury. Still ran for 1,000 yards. He's done it in 2 straight seasons. And he's got a chance to leave here as the school's all-time leading rusher.
He's the real deal. And when you watch him on film, some of the characteristics that he possesses, first and foremost, his explosive burst, his ability to accelerate quickly, and then he has above average speed. But this is a kid that broke a lot of tackles last year and had a lot of yards after contact.
Play action. And that one drops incomplete. 2nd and 10. Tyler Huntley, like Moss, missed the last 5 games a season ago with a broken collarbone. That was his injury, and durability's been a question for Huntley the last 2 years. He's missed 8 games combined. So his offseason plan and his goal for this year, play in every game. He's transformed his body. He's added 25 pounds. Did so by eating 4 meals a day, all before noon.
Is that possible? Wow.
Checks down and completes. Grant Keithy, the tight end, it sets up 3rd down. And if you look at the before and after for Tyler Huntley, it's like Steve Rogers before he steps into the capsule and becomes Captain America.
No, definitely needed some of that body armor. And this is a kid that, when healthy, one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the Pac-12, can certainly hurt you with his feet. And this is a prime time example right here for him to do that. You put the ball in his hands, let him be a playmaker. If there's nothing open, you tuck that thing and run, pick up these yards, and move the chains.
He'll hand it off. It's Moss. Cuts a jagged path for a first down, a gain of 9. And we've got a new offensive coordinator in Salt Lake City, Andy Ludwig. I say new with quotes because he was with Kyle Whittingham 10 years ago. Troy Taylor took the head coaching job at Sacramento State. Ludwig came back and expect a run-heavy offense and a lot of play action. Freshman tailback Jordan Wilmore into the game for Utah. BYU showing blitz. Here's Wilmore. Ran into a roadblock, maybe a yard, 2nd down. The strength of this BYU team, its defensive line. Defensive coordinator Elisa Tuiaki told us he feels he's got considerable depth. They may not have the stars on defense like they did a year ago with Sione Takitaki and Corbin Kafusi. It's the Gestalt approach, the sum greater than the whole, or the sum greater than the individual parts. Moss Fighting through some blockers and gets to the 25-yard line. It sets up 3rd down.
That was well defended. And the one thing about Moss is you've got to wrap him up. You can't come in there and tackle in a wimpy fashion. You better bring everything you've got, your pads, and push him backwards, because if not, with his size and his determination at 222 pounds, he'll pick up yardage after you hit him.
Huntley has time, and he completes to Samson Nakua, the Provo native, tackled after a gain of 2, and now a decision for Kyle Whittingham. Last year, this was an easy decision, kick a field goal. You had Matt Gay, a former Groza Award winner. Now it'll be Andrew Stroud, just 2 career field goal attempts. Grad transfer from UCLA, not on scholarship. Kyle Whittingham wants to see some production before he makes that call, and he is a left-footed kicker, attempting one from 41. This would be a career high. And Stroud's attempt is good. The folks here in Utah know special teams has played a big hand in the outcome of a lot of the games between these two. They've been playing for about 100 years, depending on who you ask. Anish Shroff, Ahmad Brooks, Chris Budden from LaVelle Edwards Stadium in Provo, the Holy War. Utah says this rivalry began in 1896. BYU says, no, we don't count those games. BYU was Brigham Young Academy at that point. And so according to BYU, the rivalry began in 1922. Discord sows drama, and the one thing that has been constant has been the amount of drama in this series history.
It's not a good rivalry unless you fight over stuff like that.
We can't even agree on when we started disagreeing. Dax Milne stumbles to the 20-yard line, and that's where Utah will begin. Zach Wilson, the quarterback for BYU, excuse me, that's where the Cougars will start. His dad played defensive tackle at Utah. Uncle's a big Utah donor. Zach grew up a diehard Utah fan. In fact, his family had season tickets next to Kyle Whittingham's wife. He was going to Utah camp since he was 7. That's how he got to know Kalani Sitake, a one-time Boise State commit. Ended up signing with BYU when Kalani Sitake made some big changes to his offensive staff. So BYU gets it back. It's a reverse. Aleva Hifo got a block from his quarterback, Wilson, to spring him for a first down.
I like that play call from Grimes. Mixing it up, misdirection. How do you beat teams with extreme speed? You get them going one direction. Watch this defense. Boom, going one direction, and now they've got to transition. And when you put your big boys on skates like that up front, it can work for you in your favor if they get no push, and that's exactly what happened. Excellent job by Zach Wilson getting out in front and trying to make something happen.
That's got to be received by the rest of the team, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Quarterback out there throwing blocks week 1. Jaron Hall came in on the direct snap. He's the backup quarterback. Hall also an outfielder on the BYU baseball team.
I think that's 2 great play calls from Grimes. He's really forcing this defense to think. And if you can get this defense thinking and not reacting, that's when you have a chance to penetrate that line up front and score some points.
Wilson with time. Floats it downfield. Good coverage. And it's incomplete. Josh Nurse, a converted receiver, step by step with his man.
Well, I tell you what, you combine this splendid secondary with a dominant defensive line, and here's what you've got. You've got guys in the back end that have no problem going hand-to-hand, man-to-man with an opposite opposing wide receiver, and they're great in coverage. They're also very physical at the line of scrimmage, which prevents you from getting into your quick passing game. And so a lot of the opportunities today for the Cougars will be downfield.
Wilson keeps it. First down, BYU. Tackle made by Mika Tafua, the sophomore out of Hawaii, who originally signed with BYU out of high school.
You know what surprises you about the sophomore Zach Wilson is his decision-making. Even last year, playing like a freshman in this rivalry where it's bitter and they're trying to throw everything at you, composed, poised, and made big plays. Just like there, it was a great decision to pick up the first down and move the chains.
Toss to Katoa, leading rusher a season ago, and he brings it into Utah territory as we come up on a minute to play in this opening quarter. Ahmad, you and I were here for Zach Wilson's first career start, middle of the year against Hawaii, and he didn't look like a true freshman, young by BYU standards, 18, 19 years old, poised, marched his team downfield, and really changed the momentum, not of just the season, but of the program, knowing he's your guy for the next 3 years.
You're absolutely right.
This is Micah Simon. Another first down for BYU at the 39 of Utah.
Once again, the maturity of Wilson, right? They rush 4 guys. That's what Utah likes to do, and then they drop 7. Where does he go to? His check down, right underneath. So when they create that space, Wilson has to identify that and then know where to go with the football. That's something he and offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes have worked hard on.
Low throw. And Tyson Williams' knee was down. A gain of 4. Final seconds of quarter number 1. And BYU will head to the sideline. The Cougars are on the move. Utah's won 8 in a row against BYU. A close one early. This is a game you expect Arizona State to win, but you cannot underestimate how big this opening weekend is for the Pac-12, especially after last year. Big play, Tyson Williams, the South Carolina transfer, rumbling for 18.
Yeah, he's going to be there, steady, back in the backfield. And this coaching staff said, listen, when he came in, he knew what to do. He knows how to take care of his body. And he's really stabilized that running back room. He won this job doing exactly that, being a leader, but most importantly, playing the collegiate game like a pro.
BYU going quickly. Wilson over to Bushman, thrown down shy of the 15. We talked to Wilson yesterday, confident kid. He's been watching tape of Utah since January. Dangerous throw! And it's incomplete, nearly picked off by Burgess.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you just stay on the ground. If you're Burgess in a rival game, to be able to turn a ball over and get a takeaway in the red zone, you don't get a lot of those opportunities. Poor throw here from Wilson. And here's what happens when you have that much athletic ability. Sometimes you rely on it too much. He and Bushman were off. They weren't on the same page there. You could tell Bushman turned his route up. Wilson was expecting him to set it down. And that almost was a costly turnover here in the red zone.
On third down, to the air, caught by Talon Shumway, and it's incomplete. The ball popped out before he completed the catch, and now fourth down for BYU.
Just a missed opportunity for the Cougars, and your offense, you want to capitalize when you get inside that red area. And if you're Utah's defense, this is why they're so good. You know, you look at it, if they make the field goal here, they've shaved 4 points off of the score. And in this day and age of college football, that is a win.
Jake Oldroyd to kick it. Spent the last 2 years on a church mission to Chile. And his field goal attempt is good. A 32-yarder to tie this one at 3.
Certainly changes the way you throw the ball downfield, and even in the kicking game here, it could make the difference.
And both of these teams have what you would call inexperienced kickers. BYU, Oldroyd coming back from a mission. Kicking a question mark for Utah. And a special teams blunder by the Utes.
Here's the decision here if you're Nurse, right? That ball is so close to the sideline. And normally your special teams coordinator will come to you and he'll say, here's the distance where we want to let this ball roll out of bounds. That just took a BYU bounce. And what it did was it now gave them the momentum. You're inside of your 5. No question about it. BYU is about to attack the run. They're about to come downhill and make something happen. An unfortunate special teams play and bounce for the Utah Utes.
Why not try to move up? Fair catch that ball. You get it at the 25.
It's a good question in hindsight.
Moss on first down. Breaks a tackle. And Zach Moss, we told you about the yards after contact. BYU looked to have him a couple of times, but could not finish the tackle, and Utah has breathing room.
How in the world did he stay up? I mean, they're trying to run through that knee that he injured. I mean, this is excellent effort, but the balance. And I bumped into this young man and got a chance to see him up close and personal. He's every bit of 220 pounds, and he is thick, he's solid, and the girth that he has gives him the ability to run through those types of tackles.
Play action. Huntley is going to run and scuttles out of bounds after picking up the first down. We were talking earlier in a break in Andy Ludwig's offense now. He feels he has enough depth at running back to take some of the running game pressure off the quarterback, but you'd still like to see Tyler Huntley be involved, like plays like that.
You nailed it. The timing of it, and he's a veteran quarterback. You want him to stay healthy because you need him. Despite Shelley being a more than capable backup, the reality of it is Huntley is your guy at that position.
Huntley with time. Wide open, and it's dropped. Grant Keithy, as alone as Johnny Harline was.
Oh, man. And the BYU's game plan is to make Huntley beat them with his arm. And we were told that yesterday in meetings. And then when you look at it here, just a cross route coming from the backside, he occupied space. He found the right thing. You're trying to run the football before you catch it. And every wide receiver knows you got to catch the ball first.
BYU showing blitz. Give is to Moss. Can't get away from Isaiah Kaufusi.
I'm not sure what the Kaufusis are eating at their Thanksgiving meal, but man, they produce ballers. And I'm talking guys that are relentless pursuers of the football, and they will attack you. And this family has plenty of bite. I wouldn't want to play them in a pickup game of football on Thanksgiving Day.
Isaiah and cousin Jackson, linebackers. Or brother Jackson are linebackers. Cousin Devin is a D-end. Devin's brothers, Bronson and Corbin, very productive at BYU. Bronson's with the Jets, and they listen to you. It'll be Huntley on the zone read. Kaufusi with a big fist pump. He had a big hand in this defensive series for BYU, and Utah will have to punt.
And speaking to Coach Kalani and listening to all his comments throughout camp, he was really impressed with the way that this defense handled themselves during camp. They're a group that's together, and you saw right now, I think you're about to see the identity of them. That's run to the football, pursue it with everything you've got, and when you get there, drag down ball carriers.
24-year-old true freshman Ben Lennon will punt it away. Spent 4 years in the Australian Rules League. And it's down at midfield, a 40-yard punt. BYU takes over with terrific field goal position. Pete, we were just marveling at the bravery of that man in the BYU student section.
Oh,
that
boy.
is courage. That is bravery. I salute my hat if I had one, and tip it to you, sir.
But I can't say it's smart.
Courage is not all created equal. Little wounded duck near the sideline and caught by Gunnar Romney, sophomore from Chandler, a gain of 8.
Oh, he's flashing that big arm now. You're on one hash and you're throwing out to the opposite side of the field. And that's what has the 20 NFL scouts that are on hand tonight thinking that this young man could be a special player. That's a great first down call. You get into moving your chains into a nice rhythm and momentum. Let's see if this BYU offense can keep it up and put their foot on the gas.
Yeah, that's a dangerous pass. You've got Jalen Johnson lined up there for Utah, one of the best DBs in the country. Wilson flushed. Intercepted! Picked off by Utah. Francis Bernard, the former BYU Cougar, runs it back. And in the last 9 meetings now between these two, that is the 8th defensive touchdown by Utah.
Well, go back to a season ago, and Blackman has a pick 6 that really got the Soaring started for the Utes, and this is just a phenomenal play. Bernard, there was supposed to be inside, but you saw his awareness. They talked about how intelligent this guy is. He sees the back, Williams going out to the flat. What did he do rather than just standing there? He moves to where the football is going, slid right underneath that route, caught Wilson off guard as he was being brought to the ground from the pressure, and that swings momentum in a serious way to the Utes.
The point after is no good, and that snaps a streak of 182 consecutive made extra points for Utah. That was the 3rd longest streak in the country. But the defense answers the bell for Utah with momentum on BYU's side. Francis Bernard, a pick 6. Strauss, PAT, hits the upright.
Oh boy.
Got to protect the merch they have here in Provo. A pick 6 by Francis Bernard, a former BYU Cougar. Missed spring ball. Only started 2 games last year, but he's their most experienced linebacker, with an interception return for a touchdown, has given Utah the lead as we... Wilson to Bushman. And Matt Bushman forces his way upfield, a gain of 17. Good vision there by Lopini Katoa, the team's leading rusher last year. And he gives BYU 6 more. And this is what's impressive about Zach Wilson. Throws the pick, comes right back out on offense, gets his team into the right sets, makes the first throw to Bushman. It doesn't carry over the mistakes.
With the weight that they've put on him of this program, that's the way he's going to have to play in order for them to excel.
Keep it on the ground again.
Guys, that confidence is one of the things that his teammates love about him. They said last year, you know, what would an 18-year-old be like around a bunch of 24-year-olds? But the fact that he's vocal. This year, the difference is he's learned how to talk to his teammates. I've been watching him on the sidelines. He's very vocal, not in a yelling kind of way, but really trying to focus the guys, saying, hey, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. The issues that we have are our issues. We should be winning.
Chris, as an early enrollee, he took 2 BYU cheerleaders to prom. He doesn't lack in confidence.
It's a great story.
As Micah Simon. And Simon says first down, BYU.
Nice job running after the catch, but it started with the excellent decision there from Wilson as they had a high and low route on the backside. He made the right decision. The ball was out on time, and BYU gets a fresh set of downs.
Wilson in trouble, gets away, buying time, looking downfield. Now he'll run, gets a block from Katoa. Wilson into the red zone. A night at the Improv for the sophomore.
Now that is what you call a guy that is on his verge of becoming a program changer. Listen, last year they had him bottled up. Once again, they bring the blitz. They brought the pressure. He breaks pocket to his right, which he likes to do. But these moves, the kid runs so smooth. And, you know, he ran track in college and, I mean, in high school. And when you look at him, you're like, he's not moving that fast. But he continues to create separation, especially when his stride opens up.
Wilson looking for 6. Incomplete. He wanted Dax Milne.
That's outstanding coverage there by Johnson. You get an opportunity to see one of the premier shutdown corners in the Pac-12 conference. Very aggressive at the line of scrimmage. And as a gym rat, if you will, I mean, the guy's always in film, really trying to do his best to mix up his looks on that side of the ball. That was outstanding coverage. And I thought last year, BYU was handsy on the outside, and the coaches commented on that. They felt like there was some pushing. And they told their guys, hey, we need to be aggressive as well.
Tyson Williams breaking a tackle, stays in bounds, and falls backward. And they'll say he stepped out of bounds at the 8-yard line. It sets up 3rd and short. Now the question for BYU, we know Zach Wilson is a star in the making. Where are the stars in the skill positions? We know how good the tight end Matt Bushman is, but what about the running backs? What about the receivers? Who can emerge and become more than just a guy for BYU?
It's wide open. And I think as you see Wilson now going out to the outside edge.
Jaron Hall in at quarterback. Hall lost the snap, recovers. Now he's in trouble. And Leki Fotu brings him down back at the 21-yard line, a loss of 12.
Oh, man. You know, they went to it early, the Wildcat, and it worked for him. This time here, you know, it's not a great snap, but he's not used to taking a snap. It's off to his left. You still got to be able to track that down. And sometimes, as a quarterback, you take your eyes off of that ball to try to read, to go to your read first. That time too soon. A huge mistake there for the Cougars.
So now a field goal try from Oldroyd. 37-yarder. This one is up and good. Couple of times now, BYU missed opportunities. Had a 3rd and 1 earlier, then 2 penalties. 3rd and short, ends up with a field goal instead. BYU has almost 3 times as many yards than Utah, but trail 9-6. Big play in this game, Francis Bernard, linebacker for Utah, with a pick 6. Utes missed the PAT. And some missed opportunities for BYU. A couple of 3rd and shorts where one a bad snap resulted in a field goal attempt. That was good. And then earlier they had a 3rd and 1, and then back-to-back penalties that really hampered that drive. Utah will take it out to the 25-yard line. On the fly sweep, it's the speedy Jalen Dixon. And Dixon with a nice run, a 1st down. He really came on late last year. 16 catches in the last 2 games, half his season total, and was a big part of Utah's offensive success in the bowl game.
He's got speed, he's got width, and that quickness and burst that you just saw. And when he's out on the outside edges, he's a dangerous player and certainly has the ability to take it the distance. And here the Utah fight song play as he crosses the end zone.
3-man rush. Huntley near side. Keithy driven back immediately by Austin Lee, the leader of that BYU defense. And it's 2nd and long now. Clock continues to run. Utah all out of timeouts. Near sideline, and Huntley finds Damari Simpkins, his high school teammate, part of the Hallandale trio. Simpkins, Huntley, and running back Zach Moss all went to the same high school, only played together for a year, and that was in South Florida.
Yeah, Simpkins has matured. They've been waiting for that guy to have a breakout year. He's got the right skills, and now I think if you're the Utes, you're just trying to pick up enough yardage to get in the field goal range and try to put one through the uprights. And if you're BYU, you want to keep everything in front of you. Do not give up an explosive play or something over the top.
11 seconds to go in the half. Huntley over the middle. He's got Covey. He's tackled. And Utah's not going to get another playoff. And we will go to halftime with Utah holding a 3-point lead. BYU, more yards, move the ball offensively with more ease, but as has been the case so many times of late in this rivalry, turnovers and a pick six, an interception return for a touchdown by Francis Bernard, the difference so far.
Who's going to be the difference maker? Who's going to be the guy in the locker room that comes back out wearing the S on the chest? That's what they need.
Utah 30 minutes away from making it 9 straight over BYU. Time for halftime. Matt Barry in the studio. The last 6 meetings in this holy war have been decided by a touchdown or less. It's a 3-point lead for Utah as we get ready for the start of quarter number 3. You see that one turnover, and that is the difference in this game. Utah has won 8 straight against BYU. Fair catch is called for. Utah ball at the 25. We check in with Chris Budden.
Well, Kyle Whittingham told me the second half will come down to 2 words: explosive plays. He was very frustrated with his offense, their ability or their inability to move the ball down the field. They like to take some shots. On the other side of the ball, Kalani Sitake telling me that he was very positive with his team. He said, hey guys, we're down 3 and we haven't even given them our best shot. We need more energy, better focus, and cut out the mistakes.
What Chris said about the explosive plays, Ahmad, that begins with Tyler Huntley, the quarterback.
It absolutely does. He's got to be able to manufacture those, create those, whether it's the threat of running with his feet or doing it with his arm.
Zach Moss. No, a little misdirection. And it's Huntley on the keeper. Tyler Huntley in that first half, only 9 attempts, 6 completions, 33 yards. Moss, who is a bell cow, 66 rushing yards in that first half.
I like the run here to start it off. I mean, if you're asking me, I think this kid is more of a threat with his arm when he can force defenses to defend his feet. And we just didn't see enough of that in the first half. And this time here, making a conscious decision to keep the ball and pick up some decent first down yardage.
Now Moss, got a good block. Moss powering across the 40. The strength of 20 men on that kid.
Well, and you said it, but here's what's new in this Andy Ludwig offense. You saw Huntley there go under center. I can tell you right now, 90% of the time when that guy's under center, number 2 is going to get the football, Zach Moss, and that was power football. I mean, they just line blockers up and allowed their running back, their star tailback, to create some yardage there and to move the chains.
On the zone read, Moss. Again, muscling ahead to the 44 of BYU. To go back to what you said, under center, it's going to Zach Moss. That kind of predictability, doesn't that play into the hands of BYU's defense?
Well, it does. And if you're the Utes, you've got to balance that out with play action pass. But when you're getting 10 yards a clip like they are under center right now, why steer away from it? And Zach Moss is the type of back that you do not want to get him to catch fire, because the next thing you'll know, he'll rack up 200 yards on you, 4 touchdowns as he comes to the sideline for a breather after 2 consecutive runs.
Jordan Wilmore, the freshman, in at running back. He gets the call. And Wilmore, who earned rave reviews in camp, picks up 3. Kyle Whittingham, every time he was asked about who stood out in practice, sometimes before the question was even thrown upon him, Jordan Wilmore, yeah. They like this kid in his future. Utah 1 of 6 on 3rd down. Huntley under pressure. And that is brought in by Solomon Enos, the son of former Penn State All-American Curtis Enos. Dad, the 5th overall pick in that great '98 draft.
What a clutch play. The concentration, the focus, the strong hands. He never even brings his ball into his chest. Manages to keep his feet in bounds, maintain control while going down to the ground. Outstanding play for the Utes as they get closer to their red zone.
Also, Enos a big target, almost 6'4". Huntley flushed. Good block there by Covey to give Huntley a few extra yards, a gain of 7.
When you go back to it, the first play, they commit to the run. He takes the football. Then on a 2nd and long situation, he chips away at the sticks, allows them to get into that 3rd down conversion. And now, with them dropping him back, we talked to BYU. They're going to make him beat him with his arm. The problem with that is you open up running lanes for a guy like Huntley, and we know he can be a special runner when the ball's in his hands.
9th play of the drive. Moss powers for a 1st down.
He's fun to watch. I mean, just the way that he explodes to the hole, outstanding.
New this year, our PlayStation Player Impact rating. Zach Moss, a 96. And that is the best of any running back returning this season. Basically, it means when he's on the field, that's how good his team's performance is. That's what the rating calculates. What the team's performance is like when that player's on the field compared to when he's off. Huntley sprinting to the outside. And another 1st down for Utah, but hang on. We do have a flag at the very end of the play, and now more laundry.
There are 2 fouls, both by the defense. After the play, personal foul, late hit out of bounds. Defense number 12, half the distance to the goal. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense number 12, his 1st of the game, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
So both penalties on Malik Moore, a backup DB, a sophomore from San Diego.
That'll be hard to get time after that, you know, and the problem for BYU's defense.
Number 16.
Yeah, and that's going to be D'Angelo Mandel. Malik Moore, they said 12. And they meant 16. They make the correction. Mandel left BYU a couple of summers ago. Just wasn't the right fit for him. Came back a year ago. Changed man. 1st and goal. On the fly sweep. Reaching across the pylon. And a touchdown for Jalen Dixon.
This cat is fast, okay? He's a cheetah out there on the field, and Dixon runs track, and he's explosive. You saw the angle there. He just totally destroyed the angle of the BYU defender. No chance when you see this kid's numbers or when he has space.
Andrew Stroud now for the point after, and he missed a PAT in this game earlier. He's a left-footed kicker. And Utah told us that the holder, Ben Lennon, 24-year-old freshman from Australia, there was some difficulty in spinning that ball on the hold, and that was an issue early on in camp. And this kick is good. An 11-play, 75-yard drive. Utah marches down the field. They lead it 16-6. Jalen Dixon punching it in. Big season, a seminal season in the history of college football. Utah leading BYU 16-6. We said it at the top of the broadcast for Utah. Most anticipated season in school history. If they take care of business, they could end up in the college football playoff. For BYU, Chris Budden, there is certainly a rich history in Kalani Sitake. Wanted to remind his younger players of that during fall camp.
Yeah, and the name at the house that they're in, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, it's someone who meant a lot to Sitake. So As they wrapped up fall camp, they had Lavelle Edwards' wife, Patty, come talk to the team. Sitake realized that most of the players on this team weren't even born during the Edwards era, so he wanted Patty to talk about her late husband, what he meant to the game, what he means to BYU. Sitake said, listen, we haven't done a very good job of protecting his house. I wanted them to understand who he was, what he means to this school, and what it means when we play in his stadium.
Before Lavelle Edwards took over as BYU's head coach, this was a lopsided rivalry. Utah dominated. That changed under Lavelle Edwards, and also his influence on all of college football, bringing the pass-happy offenses, leading BYU to that national championship in 1984. And, you know, you can't talk about Lavelle Edwards and BYU without the great quarterbacks of that time. Robbie Bosco, Ty Detmer, Steve Young, Jim McMahon. As Peely, the injured player, able to get up and to run off on his own power. Freshman, Keenan Peely, his brother Trajan, a starter on that defensive end spot. There is Kalani Sitake. Big season for him, some pressure. Incredibly tough opening 4 games, starting with number 14, Utah. Talon Shumway makes the catch, and right there, Jalen Johnson. Ahmad is a former DB. When you turn on the tape, what's there to like about Jalen Johnson?
Aggression, and he's got the competitive streak and mindset that's necessary to be out on an island and not care in front of thousands of people that if you make a mistake, you cost your team points, and Johnson embraces that challenge. He's got a lot of swag on the outside edge, and that guy is destined for the NFL.
One of the top DBs in all of college football. 4 wide look. Wilson taken down from behind. John Penasini. And we're starting to see the ferocity on that D-line, which some have called the best in college football.
I'll tell you what's amazing. These guys all have NFL-type specs. Zini at 6'2", 333 is just a man in the middle. But it's their effort after the play breaks. I mean, you can see these guys on film. They'll chase the ball down 10, 15 yards down the field. Yes, they've got talent, but they've also got heart.
Wilson, dangerous pass, nearly picked off. Burgess almost had that one, and the wind is starting to pick up again. BYU will punt. Now, wind has been intermittent in this game, but at times it's really ramped up. Oldroyd, who handles the place kicking duties, also handling the punting duties. Covey inside his own 20. Stays on his feet and taken down as he gets across the 25-yard line. Utah with a 10-point lead midway through the 3rd quarter. Now, this was last night. Thank you to the folks at Heber Hatchets.
Indeed.
We went axe throwing. Yes, none of us had done this before. I thought Chris, you came out of the gate strong, and then I don't know what happened after that.
I lost my touch, but I just wanted to say there was only one of us that actually stuck the axe on the first couple tries.
You're right. You're right. Simpkins on that far side. Ahmad unearthed his inner cowboy after a little while. You got in a pretty good groove.
Yeah, I mean, I won the only game we played, and that was a lot of fun, and I appreciate the hospitality. And then Cosmo out there the entire time was challenging us all. And, you know, he was cheating, and his foot was across the line, and I had to let him know about it. I sure did. Cosmo, if you're listening, I'm coming for you, buddy.
He's listening. He's not responding, though. A 3-man rush. Moss on the screen. And a nice tackle in space by Diane Gawaloku. Senior who escaped war-torn Liberia with his sister when he was 5, his sister was 7, came to Salt Lake City with nothing more than the clothes on his back.
It's a great story, and that was a great open field tackle. Not easily done against Zach Moss, who's known for breaking the first tackle.
Dixon. And Utah will punt. Hang on, extracurriculars again at the end of the play.
Wow.
After the play, personal foul, face mask, defense, a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
What a costly penalty by BYU.
And that looked incidental. It didn't look like that was a malicious play. And here's the thing, though. That's why you don't get your hands high on a tackle. It could happen. We've seen it happen a couple times tonight. And that
was a 3rd and 27, and now...
And this is a team that's struggling on third down. They didn't have their second third down conversion until that scoring drive. And you let them off the hook.
Simpkins in motion. Huntley, clean pocket. Flare to Simpkins. Those two are high school teammates driven out by Austin Lee. We mentioned that South Florida connection. Simpkins, Huntley, Zach Moss, Dennis Erickson, who was an assistant at Utah, had a big hand in opening up South Florida for this program. And Kyle Whittingham told us yesterday, this is now season 9 in the Pac-12. Doesn't feel like it's been that long, but the Pac-12 banner has opened up some doors recruiting-wise for this program.
And I think Kyle Whittingham, the way he connects with his players, the type of culture he creates, and this is a program that NFL scouts respect.
Nice run that time by Wilmore. The coaches told us they really like the young man's patience and vision.
And then the next part of that, right, is being decisive when you do make a cut. I mean, he stuck his foot in the ground there and got upfield. A lot of young tailbacks tend to dance around like they used to in high school. This is a different ball game, and Wilmore has not looked like he's overwhelmed by the speed of college ball.
Play action. Huntley downfield, wide open. And the catch made by Keithy. This time, all alone, he hangs on.
And you're starting to see some fatigue on this BYU defense. It is demoralizing as a unit when you get that close, you push them back, and they come back and convert on a penalty. And so you're thinking you're off the field, and all of a sudden now you're back out here. Now, if you've got heart and courage, here's what you want to do. You're inside of your red zone now. Bow your back and try to hold them to a field goal and hope that your offense can get something going on their next drive.
Moss. Unable to get to the corner. Second down.
That's a great tackle. I mean, that's wrapping up. If for any young player watching that, I mean, he ran right through his pads, and Moss is no easy task. He's been very involved today, and he's played with a purpose back there on the back end and has helped erase some plays that could have been big ones for the Utes.
Britton Covey back into the game. Covey, a big weapon in the receiving game, broke his wrist early last year, tore his ACL in the Pac-12 championship a season ago, and not quite up to 100% coming into today. Moss, hammerheads through the middle. He gets to the 20, a 3rd and long coming up. Utah needs to get to the 4-yard line for a first down.
Well, once again, you're back in a situation, right? What did I say at the beginning of this drive on first down? Bow your back, stop them, hold them to a field goal, and as you're walking off the field, you put one of those offensive players to the side and say, get it going. Because right now, you're starting to draw to a close as this third quarter's closing, and we saw the Utes last year in the fourth quarter make an unbelievable comeback. Do the Cougars have it within them right now? But it's going to start with the stop here on third down.
Utah calls a play before the quarter ends. Simpkins fights his way inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line, and it'll be 4th down when the fourth quarter begins. Utah controlled the ball. They had it for more than 12 minutes in the third quarter. It's the biggest sporting event in the Beehive State. And we go to the fourth quarter, Utah lining up for a field goal. Line drive kick, no good. The kicking game over the last few years with Matthew Gay and Andy Phillips, such a strength for Utah. Stroud, an unknown, and let's see if we can spot the hold, because that's where the difficulties were in the kicking game. Left-footed kicker.
Those laces didn't appear to be out, and we've seen one today on the missed extra point. And he's hitting it from that side of the ball. And it's almost, when you hit those laces, the ball does wacky things. Kickers hate it, and it's most comfortable. Listen, this is a unit that Whittingham has been asked about all fall camp, and if you go back and you listen, he has not sounded very confident in it, and that could be a costly play here as BYU is getting ready to now finally get some points on the board.
Wilson on first down, taken down hard by Tafua. Chris.
Guys, when I was talking to Kyle Whittingham before the game, he actually felt very confident in the kicking game. Said, I think that we'd be comfortable with a 50-yarder, but when I was watching them in practice, they missed several before the game of 40+. And between Lemon and Stroud, they were having a hard time with the holding.
The hold and the poor hold was evident on Stroud's missed PAT. Utah had a kicker who won the job after the spring, but left the team and left football 5 days after. Fumble. Utah says they have it. No signal yet. BYU has not had the ball in this second half, and Tafua comes up with the fumble. During this 8-game win streak for Utah, the turnover battle has been lopsided in favor of the Utes.
This is just, that's not the right step there, and you could see there was some type of conflict between where the quarterback was thinking he was going to be and where the running back was actually at. And he gave him an open pocket, but Wilson didn't get it in there, and maybe the steps were off, but a costly turnover. And these are the turnovers that you just can't make. And now if you're Utah, you go in and punch one in here, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Cougars to find themselves a win in this rivalry.
Now this defense is gassed right now. Moss up the gut. Still on his feet inside the 10.
That is the last thing you want to see for a tired defense. Trying to tackle 220 pounds of muscle and a guy who runs like he's a linebacker. He's reckless. He doesn't care about his body. That's part of the reason why he's been injured and banged up. Great vision here, great blocking up front to create some type of crease, and just look at him shrugging off these fatigued BYU defenders. And you would assume that this is Moss's area. 5 of his touchdowns a season ago came inside of the red zone.
Simpkins in motion. He gets the call. Around the bend and out of bounds at the 5. Taken down by Daw.
Went back to the well, right? We saw Dixon earlier score on a jet sweep, trying it again, and what does that do? That makes that defensive line hesitate. Now you come back and you pound with the inside run game, and you give the ball to your star tailback, Zach Moss, and you let this kid do his work. Because right now he's licking his chops. He hadn't found the end zone tonight. We already said earlier, first Ute in a while to rush for 100 yards in this matchup.
Since 2011. They'll feed Moss again. Untouched into the end zone. Zach Moss extending the lead for Utah.
That certainly silenced the crowd. And I tell you what, give credit to this BYU defense for trying to hold on as long as they could. But it's been the penalties that have extended drives that have kept them out on the field. In the third quarter, the Utes had the ball for 12 minutes. Compare that to the 2 minutes for BYU. There's no way in the world that you can stay out on the field that long and not see some type of difference in your play. They're tired, and when you're tired, your technique suffers.
New kicker, new holder for Utah. Jason Shelley, the backup quarterback, will hold. And Redding nails the PAT. 13 points off turnovers for Utah. It's been a big factor tonight. Utes looking to make it 9 straight over the Cougars. Welcome back to ESPN Football, presented by Dave and Buster's. Holy War right now being won by Utah. 23-6. Utes have won 8 straight in this rivalry. But remember, last year, BYU led by 20 with less than a minute to go in the third quarter. And then it was Utah that rattled off 28 straight to win. We've seen wilder things, especially with these two. Not a wise decision to run that out by Milne. Complete to Hifo. Leva Hifo is really the jack of all on this offense. We've seen him in the receiving game. He'll line up on the outside in the slot, used in the run game. Second on the team in catches a year ago. And for BYU, the offense just has to stay on the field right now. That's not what you want. Julian Blackman, touchdown! A pick six for the second straight year in this holy war.
Yeah, that's the look right there. If you're Kalani, that's what you're thinking right now. The ball was tipped there by Lewis and fell right into the hands of Blackman. He tries to squeeze this into coverage, and Lewis just went underneath. And Burgess was in the right place. And the one thing that they talked about him as a staff, they said, Burgess, we can rely on this kid every play to do exactly what he's coached to do. And when you do that, sometimes you get gifts like that fall right into your lap. But the run after the pick now really establishes a strong lead.
PAT is good. 20 points off turnovers for Utah. Blackman, who moved from corner to safety with a pick six in this rivalry game for the second year in a row. We've said many times tonight, this is a rivalry where there's blood on both sides and a lot of interconnective tissue. Well, Julian Blackman, who now has returned an interception for a touchdown 2 years in a row in this game, he and BYU quarterback Zach Wilson are second cousins. And after Wilson threw the interception last year, he said they weren't on speaking terms for a little while.
Well, the same will happen tonight. And if you're Blackman, you reach out to your young sophomore quarterback he's got a great future ahead, but give him the credit. Utes have gotten after him.
Wilson under duress, running in circles, now steps up, floats it downfield in traffic, nearly picked again. That was Blackman who got his mitt on it.
Now that was great. All the work in the backfield and being able to escape. But this is not a wise decision to throw this football. And, you know, listen, the kid hadn't appeared to be rattled much. You got to give him credit for having the moxie to try to go downfield. But the reality of it is, right, these types of decisions will turn into points. And we've seen that happen twice tonight.
Wilson flushed again, in trouble, gets away. And taken down at the 30 by Burgess. Now, the other part of it, Ahmad, is Zach Wilson might not see a defense this good all season.
Well, fair enough, fair point. But I thought if you're Wilson, you want this opportunity. And, you know, Coach Grimes yesterday, and I asked him the question specifically, how do you keep this gunslinger mentality in this kid and take it away? They've been working on him, keeping his eyes downfield more. I understand all that. But at some point, right, when you have a great player and a kid with this type of potential, you just got to guide him. You don't coach him. Let him be the wild and crazy kid that he is. Sometimes you're going to win with that style. Sometimes he's going to have some unfortunate mistakes. But I think if you're Zach Wilson, he will learn from this performance tonight.
Simon with the reception for a first down. Now, Wilson last year finished strong in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. 18 for 18, 300 plus yards, 4 TDs. Perfect. Broken up by Jalen Johnson, the all-conference corner.
That's great ball skills. And if you watch him here on the back end of this play, a lot of defensive backs at the point of the play. What I mean by that is when the ball is next to you. They swipe the hand. Watch him shoot the hand to get this hand in here for a breakup. That is a major difference in a guy that can play and be a shutdown corner like Johnson versus a guy who would have allowed the wide receiver to catch the ball there. Excellent play there from the All-American candidate.
Here's the blitz. Open receiver. And Hefo spun down at the 45. Third down coming up. Opening stanza for BYU. Not easy. Utah tonight, then Tennessee on the road. USC at Washington. No one faces a tougher gauntlet to open the season. Wilson downfield and hauled in by Dax Milne.
See the throwing ability that this young man does possess. It's about being consistent now. I mean, he really threw a dart in here. You see him get in rhythm and rock into that throw. Put the ball on the money.
Brought in by Talon Shumway, one of 25 married players on this Cougar team. Wife Cassidy. Shumway, a terrific basketball player. His high school team, he was one of 5 starters. 4 went to play D1. Shumway could have. Gunnar Romney on that far sideline. Another big pickup. BYU knocking at the door, still looking for that first touchdown of the night. Milne in the slot, Williams the running back. Tyson Williams inside the 5 and into the end zone. First touchdown as a BYU Cougar for the grad transfer from South Carolina.
Watch how he sets up the defender, Francis Bernard. I mean, he just completely juked him on this first cut. I mean, you watch the patience. Watch Bernard, number 13. Whoop, I'm out. And so that was a big boy cut as BYU is choosing to go for a 2-point conversion here.
Have to.
Yeah. And look, you said it earlier, and these crazier things have happened. And if you're the Utes,
especially in this game.
Yeah, and if you're the Utes, you've got to continue to run the football, knowing that BYU knows you're going to run the football.
Ball goes over Wilson's head, can't pick it up. Utah has it, it's Lloyd. And he's tackled by Wilson. And it remains a 3-score game.
Second poor snap of the night prevents them from converting on the 2-point conversion. Cougars trying to get back in this thing.
McMahon, Young, Bosco, Detmer with very little interruption. That's Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Alexander the Great. Rain starting to come down through the jaws of darkness here in Provo. All of a sudden.
Wow.
A fitting metaphor for the home team tonight. Utah will have it at the 25. Let's do. Moss churning in the rain. And a nice pickup on first down. That's been a big difference offensively. First down production for Utah.
Well, I tell you what, they were phenomenal a season ago on the back of Zach Moss. And I mean, averaged almost 7 yards pop on first down. I mean, that's totally phenomenal. And we've seen him today in first down situations pop off some big yardage like that. And that really keeps the offense on schedule.
We're down to the camera angle that you see right now. We're told there might be lightning in the area, so a few of our cameras have been cleared. There is lightning in a 5-mile radius, which means the game is suspended as of right now. 9:01 to go, fourth quarter, 30-12. Utah on top, and they will have to hit the pause button for now until lightning leaves the area. We mentioned the rain was coming down. Our camera guys saw that there was lightning in the area before we went to break, so we were pulling back 3 of our cameras. So delays have dangerous ends, right? We're going to maybe wait a while for the dramatic conclusion of this one.
Yeah.
Play about to resume at Lavelle Edwards Stadium in Provo. The Holy War, and of course, there has to be some kind of wrinkle. We had a weather delay with 9 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Utah with the ball leading 30-12. The fans found ways to entertain themselves. Utah has won 8 straight in this rivalry. They have the ball. It's 2nd and 3. Utes on their own 32-yard line, looking to make it 9 straight in the Holy War, which would match the longest winning streak by any team in this rivalry. Zach Moss gets the call, bursting through the middle. Another big game for Moss, 11 yards. He's up to 145 and a first down for Utah.
He's taking control of this game, and they're doing it right up the gut. I mean, one thing that stands out about Moss when you watch him on film is he has the ability to run inside, and he can run outside with his skill set. Makes him a very dangerous player, and he's really turned it on here in the second half.
And this is on the ground once more, and Moss still churning. A first down yardage for Utah in this second half has certainly helped this offense, but overall, how would you assess Utah's offense today?
Dominance in the second half, and first down is his down. Zach Moss, we talked about it, 53% of his yards a season ago coming on first down, and you know, that's demoralizing as a defense. You come back out, you're trying to stop a guy like this, and I tell you what, it took him a while to get going, but he appears to be a guy that's healthy, and everything we saw tonight, from a stiff arm to the speed, the burst, the explosive nature of his game, it appears as though it's still intact.
Moss again, a couple of nice cuts, eating up chunks of yards. That's 8 more. He came into this season needing 574 rushing yards to become the school's all-time leading rusher. Eddie Johnson holds the record. He played in the late 80s, and in week 1, Moss padding those numbers, 163 yards tonight, including a touchdown.
Did you see that cut and the ability to get and accelerate? You know, the one thing is when you see a dominant back like that, that has lateral movement the way that Moss does, if they can maintain their speed through their cut, they become even more dangerous. And he's got power, he's got speed, he's got a complete game as a tailback.
This is Jordan Wilmore, the freshman, and gobbled up for a short loss, 3rd down. Utah chewing up clock in this second half. BYU has only had the ball for about 7 minutes. Utah in that 3rd quarter had the ball for 12 minutes.
And this BYU defense, they're worn down. I mean, when you start to look at numbers like that, it's hard. I mean, just about the time you warm up the bench on the sideline, you're back out on the field, whether it be a turnover and your offense inability to score and to even maintain drives. I mean, they haven't even been able to get a breather tonight.
And now a steady dose of Zach Moss, who plunges ahead for a Utah first down. If you're a tired defense, boy, and you've got that bulldozer coming at you.
I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year, and the Pac-12 knows they've got their hands full trying to stop number 2 this entire season. He's the type of player that you can anchor your offense on, and if he remains healthy, I've picked the Utah Utes and several other people. There's no, mystery here. Why? Because of the offensive talent that returns, and when you have an anchor like Zach Moss who can wear down defenses and produce the way he does, they've got a great shot.
Moss up the middle to the 30. Saturday college football back on ABC. There is a flag down. Oregon and Auburn, a top 25 matchup. Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Ducks, a Heisman hopeful. Bo Nix, a true freshman. His dad was a pretty good quarterback at Auburn. And Auburn's got another Bo, Gus Malzahn.
Face mask. Defense number 22. half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And frustration setting in for BYU, but that Auburn-Oregon game, significant for the SEC and Auburn, sure. Gus Malzahn's on the hot seat, but you still have Alabama, you still have Georgia. The Pac-12 certainly needs Utah in the South. They need Oregon and Washington in the North. It's been 2 years in a row they've been shut out of the college football playoff, and really since Oregon made the championship game in the first year of the college football playoff, the Pac-12 doesn't have a playoff win. It's a league where the perception took a big hit in week 1 last year. Oregon win against Auburn would go a long way to repairing some of that. Moss breaking tackles, but finally stumbles after a gain of a yard.
And to your point, you know, look, with Notre Dame being also a top 10 team, you start to throw in the independent there. Listen, with them playing as well as they are, you know, the potential of 2 Power 5 conferences being on the outside looking in is amazing to think about. And if you're the Pac-12, you're right. These types of matchups go a long way at the end of the season for the College Football Playoff Committee to sit around that table and to discuss how strong the Utes are, how strong the Ducks are. And so these games do matter. If you're asking me, I think early on in the season you can determine when you play some non-conference games just how strong your conference is.
Moss again. What does a game like tonight do for Utah in the Pac-12? Because BYU, not a Power 5 school per se. They play a big boy schedule for the most part. This is still a heated rivalry, and you're going on the road. It could very easily have been a trap game for a team like Utah, which has all these expectations, some of the greatest in program history. 30-12. I mean, it's been a convincing enough win for Utah. How does this bode for the rest of the conference?
You know what it tells me and it shows me is that they've got leadership on this team. And this is the one thing that Kyle Whittingham has talked about throughout fall camp. He really likes this team because of their leadership. They've got a lot of senior veterans that are playing. And tonight they kept their team focused just enough to be able to do what they needed to do to take out their rival in the first game of the season.
Moss again on 3rd down. He appears to be close.
You know, tackling is a science, and I always say that. And you've got to determine, is this guy going to try to run me over or run by me? And you've got to do that in a split second. He makes defenders decide what they have to do, and then you still make it beat.
Tyler Huntley on the keeper to move the chains on 4th down. It sets up 1st and goal. Utah just about ready to put the ribbon and wrapping paper on a 9th straight win against BYU. And look what they've done in the last 4+ fourth quarters, or the last 4+ quarters going back to the game a year ago. 58-12. We've said it many times. The last 2 decades, 18 of the 21 games have been decided by a touchdown or less. Not the case tonight.
What can you say about this drive to close out the game? 11 plays, 72 yards, chewing up the clock. Wow.
And now going into victory formation. 1:48 to go. Utah about to make it 9 straight against BYU. Now, there was a Dickensian theme to this game. Great expectations. Utah, highest preseason AP ranking in school history. Favored to win the Pac-12. Lee Corso has them playing Alabama in the national championship, but those are the goals that are now in play for this program. Their prestige, their perception has risen, but the talent and the ability and the athleticism is there to match. Their schedule is favorable. They miss Stanford and Oregon from the Pac-12 North. Now they get USC early in the season. They should run away with the South, and really the big game that I've got circled for them going forward is the road trip to UW and Husky Stadium.
Yeah, I just think the leadership on this team, when it's all said and done, is going to be the reason. And the reality of it is you know, if you've got a player of Moss's caliber and a defense that can create takeaways the way we've seen here tonight and then turn them into points and then figure out a way to shut down a dominant quarterback like Zach Wilson. And this was what you would expect to see out of the Pac-12 favorite.
The Utah contingent chanting 9 in a row. Ouch. Hard times continue for BYU in this rivalry. Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham, they haven't spoken in a month, close friends. They'll share an embrace near midfield. Back on speaking terms going forward and rooting for each other going forward. Their friendship transcends this rivalry. But the day belongs to Utah. They have not lost to BYU this decade. Chris Budden.
What did you think of the way they responded out in the second half?
Well, they responded very well. Did a great job execution-wise, took care of the football, made a bunch of first downs, and scored some points. So it's exactly what we needed.
What did you learn about your team in game one?
Well, we started slow. I don't know why, offensively. Got some physicality up front. And, we ran the ball pretty good there in that fourth quarter. Need to get more explosive plays. We're not explosive enough right now. But off to a good start.
Can you share what you told your friend Kalani Sitake at the end of the game?
I just told him he's a heck of a coach. His players play hard. He's doing a great job, and I wish him well the rest of the way.
I appreciate it. Congratulations.
We emerged from a weather delay with 9:01 to go in regulation. Utah had the ball. BYU never got the ball back. Utah matches the longest win streak by any team in this rivalry. 9 in a row. A season full of expectations and full of big dreams is off to a great start for the boys from Salt Lake City. For Chris Budden and Ahmad Brooks, Simon A. Schroff, Utah the big winner against BYU in the Holy War. So long from Provo.